Hey guys, Daleks and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around, we started off the invasion with the first 4 episodes. What happened on those?
Well, after they took off from the land of fiction, if I recall correctly, they somehow stopped, not on the moon, but near the moon, and somebody fired a rocket at them, which forced them to land on Earth. And then they found out that they were in relatively modern times. I guess this is supposed to be the early 1970s.
Yeah.
They meet back up with Lethbridge Stewart, and he's now formed UNIT. And apparently there's some gigantic international electromagnetic.
Yes.
That is, sending out these new electronics all over the world, and we can't figure out why. And there's this guy who seems to be, intending to distribute these little electronic devices everywhere he can, and he seems to be in partnership with some kind of secret, we don't even know until the very last moment there in episode 4, that it turns out to be the Cybermen.
Yes.
Which is something we had predicted all along because of the conversations he had with the planner. Was that it?
Something like that.
Anyway, it looks like to be another, Cybermen invasion of Earth. And now, I don't know if you mentioned this last week, but I was reading something. The guy who plays Tobias, the head of Electromatics, is the same actor who played Mavic Chen.
Because we did mention, I was like, this guy looks a lot like Mavic Chen.
Well, I was reading something, I went, hey, wait a minute, that's it.
Yeah,
that's the same guy. And we were commenting on the fact that he really does play this character very nicely.
Yeah.
Because he's very subtle about it, very, smooth-talking, silver-tongued kind of guy. And that kind of just adds to the creepiness of the whole episode.
Right. Well, he was also saying, too, that, the Cybermen are a means to an end with him. Like, he's trying to be, the only tech manufacturer in the world, I guess, and he's using the Cybermen, and he said, once we have used them, we get rid of them. And we were saying, so it's a lot like Mavic Chen. And I was like, this guy does kind of look like him, too. So, all right, well, no wonder. So, yeah. I'm sure that was all in the comments too, that he was played by the same guy. So that is funny. I guess it's the difference of he has a goatee in the Dalek episode,
and much darker skin. They'd done some stuff with his eyebrows and gave him this kind of bushy white hair and again dark skin. So well, it's cool to have him back. But
definitely.
Good actor, yeah.
And then at the end of episode 4, we finally saw the Cybermen with their new-ish design. They got the more square ears going on and stuff.
Have they been redesigned every time we've seen them now? At least some kind of
something.
Yeah.
I think so. There's at least something different about them each time. So, yeah. I guess that's pretty much it.
I think that's pretty much it.
With that said, let's go ahead and finish off the invasion. Here we go.
Cybermen. Where do they come from? I don't know, Jamie. But they're here, aren't they? Come on, let's go back to the canoe.
They always have the Cybermen, coming out of something, which has to be frustrating.
Makes you wonder where that was filmed.
Yeah.
Your unit force will take no precipitate action without top priority permission. That is an order.
I see. Sir. Well, you can override my authority, but not that of Unit Central Command. I'm sending a full report to them in Geneva.
There's a real battle of the mustaches there.
What is it, Rutledge?
The unit group.
Well?
There'll be trouble. I can't stop it.
Why not? You have authority to?
I have no authority outside this country. A report is being made to Unit Central Control. They are bound to investigate and take action.
It's interesting how they talk about unit jurisdiction. They have a lot of that because they are UN.
Just to be on the safe side, I think we better conduct an experiment.
What do you mean?
Have the professor's machine taken down to the warehouse. Wait outside. I'll join you later.
What are you going to do?
Wait and see, Packer.
Now, what was Watson's machine?
Wait and see.
I think it was something about
Leave him to me.
the emotions.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So they can defeat the Cybermen.
And this we never understood. This thing is right out in the open. Although the thing is hidden behind the wall, the control is right there. It's like, wonder why there's a control right here by this blank wall.
It's just for the blinds.
There's been some difficult...
The data will be computed and the invasion details transmitted to you. Discussion
Sounds like they're holding their noses.
Well,
Yes, but if there's water in the sewers, wouldn't that affect them?
Oh, no. Besides, many of these tunnels are dry and only flood during heavy rainfall.
And what do we do? Pray for cloudburst?
Miss Watkins, this could be very serious.
I'm sorry, but...
You don't have to wait long. There's cloudbursts literally every day.
Yes,
No.
there was the attack from the yes.
yes, attach it to its ears.
What emotion shall I induce?
Yes.
And how do I prove that in the sewers of London there are creatures from outer space waiting to attack us? Go and get one?
Photographer.
Not a chance
Well.
against them, Isabel.
This is hardly a job for you.
Why ever not?
Well, you're a young woman. This is a job for my men.
Well, of all the bigoted, anti-feminist, cretinous remarks...
This is no job for a girl like you. Now, that's final.
Oh, you man!
I'll get in touch with my photographic unit and get them onto it.
It's not really a job for Jamie either.
Bigoted idiot!
They're Cybermen.
Right, you know.
Jamie McCrimmon.
Oh, he is.
Well, just because you're a man, you think you're superior, do you?
No, I didn't see that. Of course, it's true.
Is it really?
Someone's about to be slapped.
Right.
This is rather like going...
I mean, I'm not sure how many of those soldiers could go get pictures of the Cybermen.
He really should have said it's for military, not civilians.
Yeah.
But
I think that's what he meant.
1 hour before invasion,
Oh gosh, it's been 14 hours already.
units will be launched into orbit around Earth.
Oh, never mind.
If you will honor that bargain, otherwise there will be no invasion.
To control, you must undergo complete conversion and become one of us.
No! My body may be cybernetic, but my mind stays human. That is final.
We are altering the deal. Pray we don't alter it further.
It has been agreed.
You don't trust him? Of course not.
I can still hear you.
I know they'll try to take control from me when the invasion's complete.
Jimmy, I want you to take charge of this operation. Get over that once, will you? Right, sir. Sergeant?
now, either of these unit men are all very tall and the doctor's very short.
I'm going to have to leave my 3 friends in your very capable hands.
I think he's very short. He was shorter than Pertwee.
Well, almost everybody's shorter than Pertwee.
I guess that's true.
Hey, you! What do you think you're going down there for, you young idiots?
Bye.
And she's going to pull a manhole cover with one hand. I don't think so.
Just in case...
Look, I think we better get back. Come on.
Oh, Jamie, look, I was right.
Now it makes me curious. Are these the real sewers, or did they fake them again?
Come on, back. Yeah, it's from both directions.
Yeah, that must be the crazy one.
Well. Alright. That's episode 5.
Well, again, very well written. We said last week that the 4 episodes just went by very quickly. There's no padding whatsoever. It doesn't seem to be any here. You know, the obvious, 15 hours passed in the matter of 15 seconds there.
Well, that's what I originally thought. They may have said, 1 hour before we do this, we'll do this, just to let you know. So it could be that it didn't pass, and I was just messing up there. Yeah. So,
but it moves really rather quickly.
Yeah. It's definitely it definitely makes a good case for where we're going to be with the 3rd Doctor. If it's going to be okay, the Doctor is on Earth with Unit, the Brigadier. This is it. It's okay, we can get behind this. This is all right. Even though it'll still be weird once we get to the 3rd Doctor. It's we're on Earth. All right, you've kind of taken out the space and time aspect of your show, but that's okay.
And unfortunately, leads you to the monster of the week sort of thing.
Yeah, so
because at least I assume you can't have the Doctor, investigating ordinary kind of stuff on Earth. It's going to be, Cybermen or some other kind of equivalent. Every alien race in the galaxy
Yeah.
is going to be trying to come to Earth for some reason.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the first season of S.H.I.E.L.D., basically.
Yeah.
So, but still, I mean, we'll get there when we get there. It is definitely interesting, the whole talk of, civilians versus military. I feel like that's what the Brigadier was trying to say. Like, it just didn't come out that way.
Well, and when she called him on it, he could have said, I didn't mean to, insult you as being a woman.
Yeah.
It's just that this is a matter for professional military people. I have photographers. I'll send them in.
Yeah. Jamie didn't help anything, though. Jamie was going more into the...
Well,
he tried.
It's understandable from Jamie, because in Jamie's world, women were second class to men. But the Brigadier should be a little bit more enlightened than that.
Yeah, so...
Not quite such a chauvinist pig.
Right, so... Oh well.
Did you remember to put in that picture?
Mm-hmm. Okay. At the last second. I had already finished the entire edit of the video, then 5 hours later I was like, I have to do that. So...
Head again, Sergeant. Relax, quick. Come on, Perkins, come on. It's too late, Sergeant. I'm getting out. Perkins! Come back, man!
Was Perkins the guy in The Web of Fear? The guy that kept running too?
At least we should have...
Oh, I hope he didn't just die.
No, my leg. All right, hold on, baby.
Kick him!
In a few hours' time, the invasion will be complete. There cannot possibly be any serious opposition.
Notice how that
hope you're right.
right eye seems to be swollen and closed.
Doctor.
Well,
I am.
well, his eyebrow is permanently cocked, apparently.
Just look at it. Soon we shall control all that.
Everything the light touches will belong to me.
Has the Professor completed his work on the cerebral mentor machine?
Yes, Gregor.
The sun never sets on the Cybermen
That'll be
Empire.
them.
Take him away. Get work started on the machine immediately.
Is this Marty McFly, Clint Eastwood, or is he already converted?
I suspect he's already converted.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Vaughan is going to have quite a scrap on his hands.
There are at least 30 of them. Whole unit men and all armed, Mr. Vaughan.
No time at all.
Get out!
Yeah, they just rapid fired 3 scenes in a row.
Can't tell you.
So who did the Cybermen fry down in the sewer?
That was the other scientist, Gregory.
Oh.
He just didn't have his lab coat on.
A few minutes, and then I shall control the world.
You? You sure?
Quite certain, Packer.
Begs the question, did they need him anymore? I find it weird that they don't march in unison. Alright, and that's episode 6.
Now, normally, I would think that the next episode would wrap it up, but we've got 2 more episodes to go.
Yeah, which is interesting. Pace is still keeping up.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think it helped that they waited so long to bring in the Cybermen.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like 2 stories. The first one being more about Vaughn, this one being more about the Cybermen themselves.
We still haven't figured out what has happened to Vaughn. How was he able to be shot and still survive that?
Yeah. Now they said something about, to be the leader, you need to be fully converted. But he said that he would keep his mind, but have a cyber body. So maybe he's already gotten the cyber body. He just doesn't have the cyber mind yet. So it could be something like that. But that is a bit strange, because I was thinking here's the gun. Let's see if you can actually do it. It's like, you're really gambling on that. But it wasn't more of a gamble of, would he pull the trigger? It's, I know I can survive this.
Yeah.
So...
But I got to thinking about Avengers Endgame. Should have gone for the head.
Yeah. Makes you curious if the head is good, too. So, if it is a full cyber body, though, why can't... You're right about the eye, because I don't remember that when he was Mavic Chen. Yeah. So, I don't know.
And I don't think it's an affectation. I mean, I don't think he's trying to do that. So I think the actor must have something wrong with his eye.
Yeah. And there's also some shots where it's kind of more open and sometimes it's not. So, yeah, I don't know.
Striking sci-fi music. Somebody's playing with these titles, I think.
Yeah.
Again, why wouldn't it just say Doctor Who theme?
Well.
Oh, my. Doctor, the invasion has begun. Yes, Jamie, I rather gathered that. Is everyone else all right?
Yes.
Well, what about the Brigadier and the rest of the men?
I'll check.
Oh, you all right to stand up, eh?
Was Zoe wearing that outfit last episode?
Yes, but I wondered where it came from because it wasn't in the previous, I didn't think.
Yeah.
Did they shoot Jamie?
I think they did.
We need help. Yes, here we are. The Russians were planning a countdown at the time we were attacked.
For the moon, sir?
Yes, a manned orbital survey. That means they'll have a launching vehicle almost ready to go.
Oh, that's convenient.
We could put a warhead on it in place of the astronaut capsule.
Possibility.
Jaunty military music.
Didn't know such a thing existed. That's probably why the Third Doctor has his own car. Just so he doesn't have to keep taking military vehicles.
Backer!
Yes, sir.
Is the radio beam of the compound alive?
You don't have to stick your nose into the camera.
Yeah, he's not good with
Then
that.
link the beam to the invasion fleet.
Hold for 30 seconds.
Sir, that doesn't give us much
All right, Sergeant, I know. Countdown to begin at T-minus 45 seconds.
They're all questioning, what the heck is she wearing?
T-minus 22 seconds. 18 seconds.
I don't like that these aren't on 5 or 0.
T-minus 14 seconds.
Oh, come on!
13.
Wonder where they got these shots.
Nice special effects.
Yeah.
We no longer need you. The Cyber Megatron bomb will be delivered.
Oh gosh.
We must destroy life on Earth completely. Every living being.
Is this what you wanted? To be the ruler of a dead world?
All right. That's episode 7.
Well, we were wondering how they could stretch this out, and they did very well.
Yeah, honestly, even just saying that, it's like, they're stretching out. It's like, I mean, that was still really good. Going in with the missiles and everything. And now, finally, they no longer need him, so they're going to resort to the
Megatron bomb.
The Cyber Megatron bomb. Cyber Megatron.
Wasn't Megatron the bad guy in the Power Rangers?
Transformers.
Or something like that.
Is that right?
I don't
Megatron. Know. I think so, yeah, Megatron, Optimus Prime, Starscream. I think that's Transformers. So,
if not, it's Power Rangers. So, and I didn't watch either Power Rangers or Transformers, but that name sounds very familiar.
Yeah. So,
one assumes that then that is like a neutron bomb that will kill everything that is living, but keep the minerals and the rest of everything intact.
Yeah. A lot of times on these Cybermen stories, I bring up how a lot of things are kind of like reused in modern Cyberman stories. And from this one, like the whole thing of, there's this guy who's like helping and like he kind of becomes the cyber leader. That's also brought back in Modern Who, although this is different where now he's being cut out by the Cybermen. But the whole thing of this thing that will kill all life on the planet, that was just brought back in like the last episode that I watched with the Timeless Children. Like that was just brought back, like this sort of thing that will destroy all life on a planet. So it's very interesting how often Modern Who recycles these Cybermen stuff, and this is all within the Second Doctor's era. So, this is probably the biggest Cybermen story we've had so far.
Yeah.
So, just in the scope of it all. And honestly, so far, it really does feel like something that deserved 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever said that a story deserved 8 episodes.
Let's hope that they don't screw it up in the last episode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see how. Like, I feel like it's pretty solid that you could stick a landing now, but I don't know, because they also have. So was it they got the crew in Russia that are going to. I mean, that'll destroy the rest of the cyber fleet, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they were saying. That either that or like hit the mothership or something.
Yeah, it must have been the mothership that they're going to put a warhead on the Russian rocket, send it up.
It was meant to send an astronaut capsule to the moon to orbit it to observe.
Right.
But that would obviously give it the range then to hit the mothership hiding on the dark side of the moon.
Right. So I mean, they've already set up how they can win this. The interesting thing, though, is that almost eliminates the role of the Doctor. Like, what is the Doctor going to be doing for our finale, basically? Yeah. So, I don't know.
Let's find out.
Let's find out in Part 8.
Techno music. Somebody's having a good time with that.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to go back over all 8 episodes and see everything that they put in there.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just been one guy, and he's had to do this for 3 straight days, writing all these subtitles.
That's very similar, though, to, if you remember, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where they ran some credits, and then the credits changed, and the man who was responsible for writing the credits has been sacked, and then...
Yeah.
The Cyber Megatron bomb will be delivered.
I do like that it's not just a Megatron bomb, it's a Cyber Megatron bomb. Ooh, we got a little slow-mo in there.
Packer, where are you?
Packer, not Becker.
Oops.
Oh,
Oh, he's going out that window, I think. Nope. Well, that's close.
if I help you, it'll be because I hate them. The Cybermen, my allies. You think I'm mad? That all I want is power for its own sake? No, I have to have power. The world is weak, vulnerable, a mess of uncoordinated and impossible ideals. It needs a strong man, a single mind, a leader. Vaughan, will you listen?
It's weird that one had a specific blaster. Yeah.
Did you bring the bazookas? Thud on pavement.
Oh, they have flamethrowers that explode. Oh, there you go. Well, they're certainly doing better than against the Yetis.
Well, that was funny but unnecessary. Really would like to see one of these Cybermen take a bazooka right to the chest.
Well,
In that building. Forward!
Oh, just a second.
Oh, but I...
And for the moment, the crisis is over. The radio transmitter's been destroyed, so the Cybermen can no longer deliver their bomb.
Must be the Cybermen's bomb.
Red alert procedure, raise all missiles.
Same stock footage 3 times.
Yeah.
Sir, the Russian missile, it's almost on top of the spaceship. I think they've got her.
Tired? No. Exhausted. What will you do now?
Well, when the doctor's finished making his circuits, we'll be off again, I suppose.
Boy, time just skips in these episodes.
I'm never really sure.
There we are, all done and ready to go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Police box. I don't believe it.
You see Jamie's silhouette there in the far window. Now, not a criticism, but they didn't show the interception of the bomb. They did show the blow up of the big spaceship. That's the only thing. I mean, some of that silliness with the doctor jumping away from the bombs and stuff like that.
That's the one thing, like, they didn't, it's weird, like, I almost want to say they didn't draw it out enough. Like, it really just happened. And then we didn't even, like, the ship blows up, and then, we all celebrate, cut, do a fade or something. Oh, now the time has passed.
There's literally just like 20 seconds of silliness that they could have cut out, put in a stock picture of all the Cybermen falling over dead or being piled up, like cordwood or something, and then move on to the end.
Yeah. So, if that's the one thing...
The only criticism.
Pacing at the end, a little too fast. But other than that...
Very good.
Pretty solid 8 episodes.
Very well written.
Yeah. Which, I mean, so... When was the last time we had an 8-parter? It's
like Marco Polo, wasn't it? Or was that 7?
It's been... I think that was 7. Let's see... Let me go find the playlist... There we are.
I do wish somebody would go back and animate Marco Polo so we could see it.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. Now this was during... Okay, so we had some 6-parters, some 4-parters. That was that. That's the 50th anniversary. Okay. Marco Polo was 7. Marinus was 6. That was 6. That was 6. That was 6. That was... Okay. That was 6. We've had an 8-parter, right?
I thought so, but maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe we've only had 7-parters, and we thought.
Yeah.
Daleks' Master Plan was 12, so...
what was the chase? Was that in...
That was 6, I think. Yeah, I don't think we've ever had... No, we've never had just an 8-parter. We've had 7s, we've had 12s, and we've had 6s. Never just 8. So, there's that. I feel like this is what the Daleks Master Plan tried to be, and then it just sort of got derailed along the way.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it helps that there was one consistent writer through all 8 episodes, so there's that, and... Yeah, I don't know. It just like... Now, granted, the 2 are a bit different where, this is all in one time period, and it works because it's got unit and everything just stays sort of consistent with the characters throughout. Whereas the Daleks Master Plan, like, yes, you have the Doctor's group, and then you have Mavic Chen, but then you go and the monk is brought in, and then all that sort of stuff, and so... And there's like different time periods that kind of redo the chase a bit. So, but I feel like this is what they wanted to do with Daleks Master Plan.
Yeah,
definitely. So, So, is the question, where would we rank this among the Cybermen stories we've had?
Well, this is, in my opinion, the best of the Cybermen so far.
Yeah, I think so, too. So that would be... And if we're going in chronological order, up to this point, so that's the 10th Planet, the Moon Base, Tomb of the Cybermen, Wheel in Space, and now the Invasion.
Yeah.
So, I mean... probably this, and then probably, like, Tomb... Moon Base, 10th Planet, Wheel in Space, probably. We said Wheel in Space was a comfortable last place among the Cybermen stories, so... So, yeah, but this one, pretty consistent all the way through, and because it's such a different story from, like, Tomb of the Cybermen, it's probably, like, splitting hairs between the two of them, so... Okay. Well, to jump into the notes, well, the first thing I wrote down was unit jurisdiction, with Rutledge, because it's an interesting thing. I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, UNIT is United Nations Intelligence Task Force, which means that their reach expands beyond Great Britain, which is interesting.
That's true, but again, there's probably a unit for the United Kingdom. There's probably a unit for the United States, and one for France and Germany and so forth. So getting permission from Geneva, which would be the central headquarters, would logically fit at this point.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I think when they're brought back in modern Doctor Who, they had to drop the UN from it. Like, they changed it to where it's like, oh, that's not the UN anymore, it's just a general sort of UK, it's just a UK organization. And then I think recently, with the 13th Doctor, they made a joke where she tried calling up UNIT and it just didn't exist anymore, and they said, oh well, the funding is sort of gone out for it. And I didn't realize it when I watched that episode, but people basically said it's just a bad Brexit joke. UNIT doesn't exist because of Brexit, and so that's why when it's like, oh yeah, they do serve under Rutledge there. It is still possible to go to Geneva and get the higher ups to approve what's happening here. So yeah, that was just interesting. Let's see. We had the emotion ray gun, which was interesting. It's also interesting that it kind of worked on humans. Like, they used it on the professor, but he seemed to recover pretty quickly from it. I mean, I guess they didn't use it at full charge or anything. But then again, he's already a human. He already has those emotions. So
now, they never did explain Vaughan's ability to be shot 3 times. So we just are left we're just left to speculate, like we did, that he had. Although that you had mentioned the conversion hasn't been completed or must be completed, and he said no, I want to keep my human mind. So that may be the explanation for it, but that was a bit vague.
It seemed like, well, I thought when he said that originally, it's that, oh, okay, so maybe he'll get a Cyberman body, but he'll still retain his human personality and everything. But it seems like the body he had was already a cyber body. It's just that he does still have, his humanity, and they haven't taken it away. Of course, that begs the question, if the Cybermen can make a body that looks exactly like a human's, why do they not do that? Then they could blend in and stuff, So, a couple questions there, maybe, but not very important. Of course, that if it was a cyber body, it didn't do too well against the Cybermen's weapons later. So,
and again, if you were watching this, over a span of 8 weeks, you probably wouldn't even have noticed most of that.
Yeah,
the fact that we can do that because we sit down and watch them over 2 weeks, we can see then the bits and pieces. But again, if you were a teenager watching this back in the late 60s, never would have occurred to you.
Yeah, and I mean, well, because I'm even thinking because there's such a difference in the mindset of how TV is watched now versus how TV was watched back then. If this aired now, and you just like you weren't like us, where you're taking notes and getting into it and everything. If you were just a normal person and you were watching it still week to week, would some of these things still like pop into your head like they do with us? Probably not, because I mean, like I'll watch a show where I'll just watch a show that I'm not reacting to or something, like we'll watch The Flash, and sometimes I do still kind of get that reaction analytical brain going. Sometimes I just turn my brain off and just sort of watch it, like Legends of Tomorrow or something.
Now, wasn't Vaughan shot right at the end of the episode? So again, it wasn't something that would have stayed on anybody's mind. A week later, you see the next episode, you would have completely forgotten that he had been shot.
Yeah, so something like that. Let's see. Well, I did write down the whole getting the evidence, which I guess, so did that actually... So, they go down and get the evidence because the Brigadier needs to take that to Geneva so that things can get done. Did that actually play into the plot at all? I don't remember. I think it was that, he had things starting, smaller things that he could just do, and then once the invasion started, that's when he could go and do whatever he needed to do, because there was the invasion. So I guess some things like that you could point out, like, oh, Vaughn gets shot, or they didn't actually need to go get the evidence and stuff, but overall it doesn't really matter. So
now I thought of something kind of odd there when Isabel took pictures of the doctor. It's odd that he didn't say, no, you really mustn't do that. Because he doesn't want to be seen. He doesn't want to be known by people.
Yeah,
by
definitely.
The general public, anyway.
Yeah. I thought that was weird, too, that he ended up, he fixed his collar and fixed his hair and decided to pose for the picture. Like, that seemed a little strange.
Now there's, 10 seconds that could have been cut out to show the Cybermen all being, keeled over.
Yeah.
I still think it would have been a cool visual to have some of the unit's soldiers taking the bodies of the Cybermen and literally just stacking them up. Like so much garbage.
Yeah, so yeah, that is pretty weird, because normally the Doctor sort of refrains from that. I feel like there was a moment like that with the first Doctor, but I can't think of it. So I don't know when that would have been. Although the first Doctor just seems like the Doctor that wouldn't, oh no, we don't need to do this, child, something like that. So and then we already talked about the whole thing of civilians versus military, and how that conversation just could have gone better. So and that's the thing too, like, yes, obviously the Brigadier could have rephrased that a little bit better to make it work. I feel like the situation was just made worse by Jamie specifically, just because he, like, you could listen to what the Brigadier said and it's like, okay, well, yeah, he doesn't really mean, oh, it's because you're a woman. He means because you're not a soldier specifically. Jamie's the one who takes it a bit further and starts talking about that stuff. So,
but again, it's more acceptable from Jamie, because the idea of feminism in the time of the Highlanders would have been nonsensical.
Yeah,
nobody would have thought that. But in the late 60s, early 70s, that that's the beginning of the feminist movement, and I understand that, yes, the Brigadier might be somewhat of a chauvinist, but when she objects to that, he could have said, "My dear, it's not because you're a woman; it's because you're a civilian."
Yeah.
One sentence would have taken care of that.
Yeah. The first thing I think of too is, when did Rudolph come out? I know that's a very strange reference, but the Rankin Bass Rudolph, that was the 70s, I think, right?
It might have been the 60s. I don't know.
Yeah, because they have that line in there where it's like, no, this is man's work, and they go off and try to find them. So
comparing Doctor Who to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Exactly.
Oh.
So that's what popped into my mind. So that might have been like 1970. I don't know. So anyway, let's see. So I did write down conversion. They still haven't shown a conversion where it's like, they show this guy, even if they don't show like the suit being put on and everything, they don't show like, here's a guy, he gets sent in, comes out, and there's the Cyberman. It's like, this one was Packer. They still haven't fully done that.
Yeah.
And even the whole thing of the cyber hypnosis didn't really I thought it was they were all going to now be drones that would start doing things on Earth for the Cybermen, but they all just seemed to pass out instead, which was odd.
Yeah. Now, that may have been that they were ultimately going to use the people as drones, and that simply wasn't necessary as part of the plot. But yeah, I thought the same thing. First they incapacitate them, and then once the invasion is complete, then they'll start converting.
Yeah, I guess it could have been like that, and the reason that they never used them for anything was because then they were dealing with Unit and the Doctor.
Yeah.
So let's see.
And the one woman that reacted to the mind control had curlers in her hair, and I know that my mom, along with a lot of other women, put curlers in their hair back in the late 60s, but I don't know that you would have ever gone out in public like that.
Yeah.
That seems kind of an odd little thing there. So.
Yeah, so, that's the thing, when it's here's the shot of the Cybermen. It's all right, our 6 Cybermen suits that are out in London. And it's okay, so we need shots of everyone, just going out. It's all right, we've got 4 civilians. That's going to have to make it work for the entire world being incapacitated. So, here's a dude in a suit. Here's some, driver. Here's some woman. Put curlers in her hair. She's the average woman. There you go. So, I guess that must have been the thought by the costumer. So, let's see. It was a pretty decent invasion, actually. The only thing would be maybe a bit more, seeing a bit more in space when they show, because there are a lot of times where it's okay, so we have the missiles that are going out to destroy the UFOs and stuff, and we see some of it. We'll see one get hit, and then another gets hit, and it's well, we got them all, and it's okay, I'll take your word for it. There's some of that where maybe it's just that the special effects didn't lend itself, and of course, these are all still, little things on wires that we have to shoot a little firecracker into.
But they could have done that on the radar screen, where as it passed over, you see the various blips all going up. Again, it's because she was talking about how they're coming in formation. It was kind of like shooting pool. Hit the billiard ball, hit the cue ball, and they'll all just ricochet into each other.
Yeah. So, which I did like that Zoe going in and redoing all the calculations in order to hit all of them was pretty good. And it is also funny, she goes around, she's just looking over and writing all this stuff. They all look at her who is this, and presumably what it actually is, who is this, girl writing stuff down as we're trying to do this. And of course, it's just funny to think they look over, it's what are you wearing? What is this strange...
sparkly jumpsuit?
Yeah.
Now, I would hope, and this is probably way off the base, but I would hope that particular little scene was an homage, if you will, to the Hidden Figures. The women, for example, of NASA, who did all of that calculation in their head to keep the NASA program going all the way literally to the moon.
Well, yeah.
Because nearly all of the mathematicians were women. And again, maybe this was just a way of saying, hey, we do acknowledge that women do have the capacity, sometimes in many instances way more than men do, to do that kind of mental calculation. So that would be a nice thing. And even if they didn't mean it, that's the way it came across to me, so I'm going to take it that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's good putting her brains to use in this. I suppose, honestly, she did a lot more than Jamie did in this one.
Yeah.
And especially, too, it took me a while to realize that once Jamie got shot, he's out. He's really out of the story at that point.
He took the week off.
Yeah, so, which, by the way, I found out that in the Mind Robber, remember when they swapped out the different Jamies? Well, that we said, oh, he must have just taken a vacation. That was a clever thing they did. Well, apparently, it was not... that wasn't supposed to happen. Apparently, the actor came down with, chickenpox or something. It was some... He got sick or something, so they had to quickly write in, and they got that guy to play Jamie for that episode. until he was able to come back.
It has to be something a little bit less than chickenpox, because that would have lasted longer than a week, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was something like that. I don't remember specifically, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, we were left with the idea that Jamie had been shot several times, because there were like 3 or 4 gunshots, and then he falls over, and then, it's okay, it's just a flesh wound on his leg. That's not what it looked like at all.
It looked like he got shot like through the shoulder or something. Yeah. So, but either way, he was out for most of it, which, I mean, yeah, I guess, did Jamie do a lot in this episode? No. In this series? Yeah, I don't really think so. So, which, I mean, it's good after, a couple companions, like, oh, Zoe did something. Oh, that's nice, It's nice for the female companion to do something. And we've had that sort of on and off, just sort of every other female companion does something. But, I mean, at the very least, Victoria never did anything like this, especially, being a Victorian girl. She wouldn't have had that scientific knowledge like Zoe does. Did they ever say what time Zoe's from?
Well, the Wheel in Space has got to be at least 100, maybe 150, 200 years in the future.
Yeah. It was something like that. I don't fully remember, because I remember, well, with the Mind Robber being confused, like, oh, she's reading a comic from 2000. Why is she reading a comic from 2000 if she's like 500 years in the future? And then granted, we say that sitting here in 2021 watching a show from, that started in 1963. Which I believe we're almost to 1969 now. So, according to this should be December of 68. So, in fact, I wonder, December 20th was when episode 8 aired.
So and a week after I turned 17.
Yes. Actually, yeah, it says episode 7 aired on December 13th.
Now, odd memory here. That was one of the few times that I ever missed school, because I came down with some kind of inflammation. Wasn't tonsillitis, but I had an infection in my throat, and I was out for a couple of days there. And again, it's literally the only time I ever remember missing class in high school. But I, again, got over it by the weekend back in school on Monday, but I think I missed like Thursday and Friday of that week.
So I assume they had to switch you out for another...
Yes, they put
another kid.
Person, yes.
Yeah, so... anyway, so yeah, of course, I guess... You said you didn't watch any of the Second Doctor, so you didn't watch episode 7 on your birthday. No. So, oh well.
No, as far as I know, they didn't really start bringing it over until about 72 or 73. And again, it was on PBS. And it played like Saturday night at 10:30. So
that's just a weird time. Yeah, and you said like you used to watch Star Trek at like 10 o'clock, and it's like, what a horrible time.
Well, that's because it was syndicated. None of the networks picked it up, so you've got local television stations who buy the episodes in syndication, but then they've got to figure out, when can I put this on? And they can't put it on Saturday afternoon because there's sports, and people want to watch sports. You don't want to put it on Sunday afternoon because most people are either still at church or have gone out to eat lunch or whatever. So the only time that you can put it on is after the news on Sunday night, and it played from 10:30 to 11:30 here. And Mom and I used to stay up and watch Star Trek Next Generation every Sunday night.
Well, and I guess it's, obviously Star Trek, the original series, really got big during syndication.
Yeah.
And then it's obviously reruns and stuff like that. Well, reruns and, going to other countries, which is how Doctor Who survived the whole BBC throwing away their tapes.
But there's something else that people tend to forget. In the 1960s, there were usually only 3 channels in the United States. You had ABC, CBS, and NBC. In the mid to late 70s, we started to get the independent, like we used to call them UHF, ultra high frequency channels. Everything else was VHS. And of course, they needed any kind of programming they could find. And that's why they bought up a lot of those cheesy old horror movies and things like that. And they would occasionally do local sports events. But that's when syndication finally came in the 80s and 90s. These UHF channels used to say, hey, we'll buy that. And why the local channels here in Oklahoma didn't pick up Star Trek Next Generation, I have no idea. But it played on the NBC channel here, 10:30 on Sunday nights. So this is the only time we could watch it.
Well, yeah.
And we didn't have DVRs back then. You had to,
Yeah.
if you wanted to record it at all, you had to put it on a VHS tape. I'm sure you all remember VHS tapes. They were tricky to work with at best.
Well, yeah. So, anywho, let's see. We also had the Russian missile, which was interesting. A lot of different parts in defeating the Cybermen, which I like. You know, we had to go to the radio tower. We had to defeat. We had to blow up the cyber ship. Then we had to defeat the bomb, which was, you know, we had to hit it before it hit the Earth. So I like that. And I said, you know, okay, so how does the Doctor play into the climax of this? Because it seemed like, okay, so we send up the Russian missile and it destroys the cyber ship. Okay, but the Doctor's not really involved in that. You gotta assume the Doctor's going to be involved in some of this. And while they did have the whole thing of, okay, so you get rid of the radio signal, and so they can't, just drop the bomb that way. But then they still go in and try to drop the bomb anyway, so it still sort of takes the Doctor out of it, but I guess not fully. It's not really a critique, I'm just sort of pointing out. So, but yes, we had the Cyber Megatron bomb, the most subtly named bomb in existence, to destroy all life on the Earth. It is interesting, they also said, that would destroy the Cybermen as well. Now, they haven't, they've said everything about, conversion and, change people into Cybermen and stuff, but they haven't actually gone into detail about, within a Cyberman's body is still organic, material. So, that is pretty interesting, and they said it's like, well, it's only a minor setback because there's only some Cybermen on the planet. So, but it was an interesting sort of thing of like, well, if all else fails, we just destroy the humans once and for all. So,
minor point there, though, the name of the Cyber Megatron bomb. They're trying to be more impressive because you probably remember this because we went to Los Alamos a couple of years ago when the United States was developing the first atomic weapons. They had one really big one and one really small one, and they were nicknamed the Fat Man and the Little Boy.
Yeah.
So, we're going to drop the Fat Man on the Earth, the Cyber Fat Man. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah. I actually do have one of those shot glasses. I think is a Fat Man shot glass.
Yeah.
And
used to carry a keychain that had the Fat Man on it.
I did, actually. And this is slightly off topic, but on another show that I'm watching called Attack on Titan, where it's an anime where, okay, to very simplify the plot of an anime, there are people who can turn into these giant monsters called Titans. And the first two you kind of meet, one is smaller and one's larger. And before I knew their official names, I was like, all right, I'm calling them Fat Man and Little Boy until I get actual names. Then I got their actual names, and I still called them Fat Man and Little Boy. So, and actually, for that show, I keep that shot glass on the table, and every time a character dies, which is at least once an episode, I'll just, take a shot of whatever drink I have. So, yeah. So that's just a little aside. Go watch Attack on Titan if you haven't already.
So, let's see. We've talked about nuclear weapons, visiting Los Alamos. We've talked about so many other bizarre things that have literally nothing to do with Doctor Who.
Yeah. So in the span of 5 minutes, we talked about TV show syndication and anime and atomic bombs.
That's like when that took up 5 minutes talking about hairdryers one time.
Oh yeah, that was what episode? Was that the Web Planet? I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that was also the one, I think we had an 11-minute conversation about pyramids, and that was in the middle of the reaction too. Yeah. We had to keep going with the episode. But yeah, I think, because there was that thing that descended so that the Doctor could talk to the thing, and I think you said it looked like a hairdryer or something. So let's see.
We're so weird.
Yeah. So the whole thing with Vaughn, that's it. I almost said Mavic Chen. But the whole thing with Vaughn and how he kind of turns, like, it's more of an alliance of convenience to get him against the Cybermen. I thought that was interesting because, again, he definitely... I mean, it's so strange that it's like, okay, this is the same guy that played Mavic Chen, because it's the same character, but kind of done a little better, honestly.
Yeah.
Or at least a bit more consistently, maybe. And I know we'll get comments about me saying that, but it's kind of the same thing of, yes, I will use them for my own purpose, and then I will get rid of them. Didn't work for Mavic Chen. Only slightly doesn't work for Vaughn here. But I like how, the whole thing of, well, stop thinking of yourself, thinking about the millions of people that will die on Earth if this invasion succeeds. And he says, oh, you're trying to appeal to my better nature. No, if I'm going to do this, it's because I hate them. And it's like, all right, man, whatever gets you to go do the thing. So
the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, so again, it just feels like a better written version of Mavic Chen.
Yeah.
So
well, he does talk about that the people of Earth are disorganized, and and again, this is really sad because even today, 50 years later, we have leaders around the world who have said that democracies don't work because they're so messy, they're so uncoordinated, and that you need autocratic leaders, somebody who says, I know what's best for everybody, so we will do it my way. And that's just frightening to think that 50 years later we haven't kicked out these idiots yet.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Isn't there a quote like, democracy is the worst form of government, except all the others?
Yes.
So
and good old Winston Churchill said that.
Yeah.
Just like he said, you can always count on Americans to do the right thing after they've done everything else.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that is the thing, which, again, when he starts saying it, it's like, no, I must do this because I will take over the world. The people are so unorganized. They need a true leader. And it's like, okay, say that on the way to stopping the Cybermen. And it really is sort of with Vaughn, it's like, okay, one problem at a time. Big problem right now, Cybermen. If he's still a problem after the Cybermen, we'll deal with him then. So yeah, it's just a very interesting thing. Again, it really just feels like this is what the Daleks' master plan wanted to be.
Yeah.
Then just sort of got derailed along the way. Yeah. I also wrote down the grenades and the bazookas. So those barely worked against the Yetis. This was about a season ago at this point. So it makes you wonder, it's like, well, okay, is Unit more prepared now? Because they said it's like, it's been about 4 years since the Yetis. Or is it that the Yetis were stronger? I don't know. Then maybe they're stronger than the Cybermen, or at least tougher than these grenades and stuff, because they lost a lot of people when they fought the Yetis, and we didn't lose too many. Now, there was the one when they were in the sewers, and there was the one soldier that wanted to run, and they said, Perkins, stay here, and then he ends up dying. I swear that was the name of that one soldier, who always, with the sideways face that always like, I don't know about that, sir, so I swear that was him. If that was like a little drop in, if maybe it wasn't the same actor, but if that was a little Easter egg. Of course, how many people in 1968 would have actually remembered that?
Yeah.
So that'll be, maybe someone in the comments can let us know about that. So, oh goodness, it's been over 2 hours since we started this, so perhaps we should wrap this up a bit.
Well, you're going to edit it, obviously. So.
Well, I'm not editing the discussion.
No.
I never edit our discussions. We just talk and talk and talk until we stop.
Well, you have almost 2 hours of episodes. We got 4 episodes here, so we're not talking all that much longer.
I don't know. I know that the last video we did, the first 4 episodes, it's one of the longer ones we've done in a while. It's a video that exceeds 1 hour long. And even when we went through all 5 parts of the Mind Robber, it was still like 58 minutes. So I don't know how we did that. Well, luckily, we are sort of at the end of my notes. The last thing I wrote down was just the victory that was just a little too fast-paced. So if that's the maybe one minor criticism, is that some things, like, you just sort of jump from one thing to another, and it's like, well, okay. Like, when they said, when they did the whole thing of rescuing the professor, they just completely skipped over that. It's like, okay, we'll go rescue the professor. How did you lose him? Okay, we have the professor. Now let's talk. Like, that happened in the span of a minute. So, some of the pacing is a little quick.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say in an 8-episode story. But, probably of the overly long episodes, you could say, this is probably a really, really good one. And yeah, probably best of the Cybermen stories so far.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. So this is serial 3. I think there's 7 serials in this season, so we've got 4 more. Do you think they can cram in one last Cyberman story before Troughton hits the road?
Well, I mean, it's entirely possible, especially if you got 4 more serials at least 4 episodes each. That's another 16 episodes, so it's possible. But
yeah,
what is up next anyway?
Next up, the Crotons. I think this will be a 4-parter, just a straight all in 4 episodes. So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. They might. I mean, that's the thing. It's only been 2 episodes since The Wheel in Space, so they could conceivably do it. I mean, the Cybermen sort of define the Troughton era, don't they? Yeah. Because this is Troughton's 4th one, and the Hartnell era ended with the Cybermen. So, yeah. That's basically it. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, that is pretty much that. With all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's 2 different Doctor Who playlists, one for classic, one for modern. There's a subscribe button and a Patreon button, as well as other stuff in the description if you want to go check out any of that. See you guys later.